plan is completely non-inflationary. This doesn't come out so well, but basically that red area is the deposits. Inflation is determined by the relative supply of money and goods. The supply of goods is relatively constant here, at the beginning at least. The supply of money is completely constant. People say, oh, the government is printing a lot of additional money here. Nonsense. It is not. What the government is doing, it is requiring that the existing money be backed by reserves. And because the only money that matters is the one in people's pockets or in their bank accounts. That remains at 184% of GDP throughout this whole episode. But it represents something different. In the beginning, it represented debt. And that's very fragile. It is what somebody at the ECB called destructible money when I was there. Because when the banks decide they don't want to lend so much anymore, or when there are defaults, some of that money gets destroyed. Because it all depends on what happens on the asset side of the balance sheet. When we're at the end of the Chicago plan, we're in a situation where all of this money is backed 100% by reserves. That's indestructible money. That's what changes, not inflation. This is the change in the government balance sheet. So we start off, before the Chicago plan, with government bonds of 80% of GDP and some unspecified other assets. I just wanted the government balance sheet to look balanced. It doesn't matter what that is. And then we issue these reserves on the liability side of the balance sheet, and we acquire the treasury credit claim on the banking system. The very important thing to realize is that these reserves are not debt. When you go to the US and you take this note, right? This is debt-based money because that sits on the liability side of the Fed balance sheet, and on the other side sits government debt. But when you go to the US, and unfortunately I have to use a Swedish coin and pretend it's a US coin, this type of money in the US is issued by the Treasury directly. There's no debt anywhere else backing it. This is treated in the official accounts of the US as equity of the government. Equity in the Commonwealth. This is a pure revenue. And it never will have to be repaid. Because the only way you can ask for repayment of this money is in money. And therefore, what the Chicago plan amounts to is to say that all money should legally have this status, equity of the government. And then what that means, of course, once